last Monday, so I think it'd make more sense to go back to the traditional way of having it on the board. That is a bit more effort. All right, so I'm just going to start the same way I start almost every one of these drawings.
But just do what he's doing. If you could go kind of, Joseph, you could go a little slow, go slow so they can follow too.
Yeah, I will. So this is going to be our main focus of the entire drawing, this one little dot. And the line coming through it is our horizon line. And now we're going to make our actual room shape. So right now this entire drawing is 2D. We're going to make a just a rectangle, literally any shape you want. Just make sure that the dot is inside the rectangle. You can do it by hand, or you can use a straight edge. Just want to make sure that all the lines are either parallel or perpendicular. So a nice even square. All right. Line, your focus point, vanishing point, I mean, and your rectangle, which is encompassing the dot. Next thing I want to do is you're going to draw a line from the top left corner of your rectangle toward the center of the dot, toward the dot. And you want to stop a little bit before you get there because you don't need to actually go all the way there because our room's not going to be that long. Right now we're just making a hallway, although I can show you how to turn this into a bedroom pretty easy. In the drawing, it could be almost anything, so we have a little more freedom. And pretty much what I'm doing is every corner of the rectangle is going toward this dot. And you can follow that pretty easily. Of course, I'm also stopping short of the actual dot. So I'm going to erase it anyway. All right. And now I'm going to decide where I want this room to actually end. So if you can kind of see what's happening here, this is the border of the room, like the back of the room, and we're going to make the front of the room by drawing lines here. So I'm going to make this a little bit closer. I'm just going to create a line, vertical line, that's connecting any two. It can be anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's like there or like there. Anywhere is fine. Next thing I'm going to do is create a line that is perpendicular to that line. And that's going to stop on our other diagonal line. Right there. I'm going to go up from here, like that. And for the final touch, I'm going to draw a line connecting and finishing the smaller square on the inside. And now this horizon line we can actually erase. If I was drawing in pencil, I would keep it as a very thin line just so I have some context for the drawing. But in a drawing this simple, you don't really need it, so I'm just going to erase that. All right, and now we have what is essentially a very, very simple room, or a box we're looking into. So if you can imagine that we have a person right here, and they are looking toward the dot. Well, this would be a giant room, so the person's probably going to be about like, their head would be here and their feet would be here. So assuming this is your room, you probably want to draw doors and windows now. So whatever you feel is necessary or appropriate, if you're basing this off an actual room, just draw a vertical line. You want to make sure this vertical line is starting on one of your diagonal lines on the bottom. So one of these bottom two below the vanishing point. It's very important these are below, because if you were to draw this, so I'm going to make this pretty tall. Oh, by the way, if this room, let's say this is 10 feet, and this is, let's say, 12. I know that looks wrong to say this is 10 and this is 12, considering how much bigger this is, but in perspective, things are warped. So it's very possible this could be 10 by 12. And the door is going to be about 8 feet off the ground. So that's the average height of most doors in commercial buildings and rooms. Some are a bit smaller, like 7'6", but very few doors are like 6 feet tall. Most doors are close to the ceiling height. So now that I have this vertical line, this is going to be the left corner of the door. I'm going to draw a line connecting the top of the door. I'm going to pull that toward a vanishing point. I'm going to stop when I feel like that's an appropriate width of a door. I'm going to draw from that point at the edge of the door down to our diagonal lower one, our lower line. And now we have the frame for our door. We can start adding some simple details. I actually want to cut this door in half. If you remember from one of my earlier tutorials, I showed you find the midpoint of any rectangle in perspective drawing by doing this. You draw diagonal lines between any 2 points, because this is not a square anymore. This is like a, whatever you want to call it, like a polygon, I guess, more than a rectangle. You draw diagonal lines connecting the opposite points, and then that little point there is the midpoint. So I'm going to make this look more like a traditional door. I'll do something like this. Get rid of that ugly X. Maybe I want the midpoint of the horizontal axis to be a bit lower. So I want to add a baseboard. I'll try to draw furniture like beds and tables next. Maybe I'll put a little doorknob there. And then we kind of have the outline for a door. Next, I want to kind of make it more clear that this is a floor, but first thing I'm going to do is draw a bed. So if you have your bed in your corner of your room, you draw a horizontal line like this. Beds take up quite a bit of space in a room, so I'm going to do this. And now this is going to be the floor area of the bed that I have designated right here. I'm going to draw a line up from the corner right here. Draw a vertical line up. Next thing I'm going to do is from the top of that point right there that I just made, I'm going to make a little point, and I'm going to draw that a line from here to here. So intercepting these 2 points. I'm going to draw from there. I'm going to stop when it looks like it's right about above this one. So you're going to have a very skewed square right here. It's going to be very thin. Next, I'm going to connect this point and draw it out until we reach right about above this one that's hitting the diagonal line. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to connect them with a vertical line. Now I'm going to drag another line through this. I'm going to draw the edge of the room, but stop just before I hit the edge. Next, I'm going to connect the top of this part of the frame with this. So then hopefully you see what's happening. We're making the frame of the bed. I'm going to start drawing here and then just go right across. And now we have a lot of lines from the frame of a room that you wouldn't actually see. So this one that is intercepting this rectangle of the actual bed frame, we're going to erase. So that's nice and full, solid. Erase that one, and erase that one. So any lines that are intercepting the inside of our bed should be gone. We can get rid of this one too, this part of the frame. Try to make sure you don't erase any important lines by accident. And that is the rectangle that's going to be our bed. Now, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I kind of wanted to finish our floor because it's very bare. So I'm going to do something like this. I'm just going to draw horizontal lines that get a bit closer together with each iteration. So that one and this one are going to be pretty close. That one and this one are going to be even closer. That one and the one preceding it, or succeeding it, is going to be even closer, closer, even closer, very close, closest. And at this point, they're almost touching. It's just a very thin line in between. Like that. Okay, now we have our floor, which is obeying the rules of perspective and also gives some sense of depth. The drawing was a bit flat before, and now we have some actual visual cues that key us into the fact this is like a true perspective drawing. Just going to fill in these holes. All right, now I'm going to add a window, and because it's on a wall that doesn't have any perspective on it, it's going to be very simple. This is just a rectangle. The most window is about 3 feet off the ground. I'm going to say the doorknob is about 3'6", so a little bit below that. Yeah, right about here. It's our sill height. And I'm just going to draw some crossbars. And I have a basic double hash window, or double hung. Maybe we'll give him a little friend, as Bob Ross would say. It's referring to trees, not windows, but same idea. Attempting to add detail on this one flat surface because it doesn't require a lot of detailed perspective thinking. Make that dot a little bit smaller. Careful not to erase that because that's our most important piece of the drawing right now, is that little dot. Oops. It's incredibly hard to draw this with marker without erasing it with my hand. Okay, so now back to the bed. The bed's very blocky and not bed-like. So to fix that, I can erase some parts of this line here and then make it look like a sheet is hanging over if I want. I could add a pillow here. And I want to actually make the bed kind of come off the ground a bit. So right underneath, or like right below our lowest line in the drawing, I'm going to create a second line going through the bed frame. I'm going to just add little tiny feet just to show that this actually has real features of a 3D bed. Now I think we'll do the back, the bed. give it an actual frame. Right now I'm just kind of eyeballing where the perspective lines go. Once you block in the whole drawing, it doesn't matter a whole lot, all the super small details, you can take more creative liberties. So we pretty much get this is a bedroom drawing now. And whoever's looking at this, including yourself, will kind of get the idea. Doesn't require much imagination to guess what this drawing is about. Did someone just sneeze? What was that?
Oh, that's me moving things around. I'll mute my microphone.
That kind of looks like a bed. I'm going to get rid of this horizon line because now it looks like we're looking at just a room in the middle of a desert or something. So, get rid of that. Get rid of that. If you want to make your room bigger, if you feel like you drew it too small, all you have to do is extend these a bit, like that. Of course, you want to use your ruler. I'm just doing a quick example. Just keep the ground moving. These come farther away, closer this way, more spaced out this way. Next, I'm going to show you how to draw a closet. Now that I've extended my room real estate. I think I'm going to do my closet right here. So I'm going to use the same process I used to draw the door. I'm going to start on my diagonal line, go up, and then stop right as we're approaching the ceiling. I want that to be the same 8-foot tall door frame. Start from the vanishing point to the top of our frame, and then stop there. Then connect that point down to our horizontal line that's going toward the horizon line, our vanishing point. And I want this to kind of look more inset into the wall. So I'm going to add a vertical line from the point going inward. I'm going to connect that point to, it's going to stop at this line. So from the vanishing point to the edge of this little line I just drew, I'm going to pull my marker this way. I'm going to start from that same point again, but this time I'm going to pull down vertically and stop just before right there. And then connect the dots. And now I'm going to draw a line from that, just like we did up here, stopping there, from here to here. And now I'm going to try to eyeball the midpoint, which is right about here. Put a little door handle. You can try to do a reflection too. So let me think. Yeah, okay, yeah, I think I'll do that. Okay, so reflection is just going to kind of look like the same drawing is continuing off in nowhere. I think. Actually, I haven't drawn a mirror in perspective before. I think it'd be like that. Yeah, okay. That looks right. And now, if this was a mirror, that would look kind of like this side, just mirrored. So I'm going to just draw a basic outline of the bed because I don't want to draw the whole bed again. You can kind of see that this is a mirrored image. I might even just doodle in a bit here to have a frame right there. And the rest, now we have this blocked in, we can just kind of toss the ruler and do whatever feels best. Put a little picture on the wall, or maybe a little calendar. Make sure those, the horizontal lines of the calendar are going toward this point. The rest can just stay the same. You draw like a drop-down lamp. Maybe a room has a poster in it. Some people like putting Christmas lights up in their room. I don't know why you might want to do that. A lot of girls do that because it's aesthetic, I guess. Very festive. Just say it's Christmas here. All my drawings seem to have pine trees in it, so I'm just going to do another pine tree. There we go. I'll draw a third window. Trying to avoid something. Alright. And there you have a basic room in perspective. Again, your rooms will differ, but if you copy this, you should have a pretty good idea and understanding of how you're going to do this of your own room. It helps to be in the room you're drawing. This is not based off of any room that exists. I'm just kind of drawing this based on, I'm just kind of creating this as I go. But I'm going to leave this up for a second just for you all to kind of look at and absorb, because I'm going to erase this in about a minute so I can draw my next one. Next drawing is going to be a top-down view of the same room. Okay, if everyone is ready, I will continue. So as long as you can, try to hold that room in memory, because I'm about to draw it again, but this time, rather than drawing it face forward, I'm going to be drawing it from a top-down perspective. This is going to be more like a floor plan, although it's going to differ from a floor plan because you'll be able to see the actual walls. In a floor plan, you wouldn't be able to see anything. So this is going to follow a little vanishing point in the center. And we're going to draw a square or rectangle, whichever you prefer, whichever matches your room. And I'm going to make this that same, let's say 12 by 12 room. Same square that is encompassing the vanishing point. Oh, what's different about this one is there's going to be no horizon line at all. So it would make zero sense to have a horizon line because we're looking down where there is no horizon. So we can call this the center of the earth. Center of Earth. Anyone who knows real estate knows that your property lines actually go all the way down to Earth. You have mineral rights, and you also have airspace rights. It's like an inverted pyramid, kind of. So if someone digs in your backyard and finds a diamond 100 feet below your house, they actually owe you that diamond. So the more you know. Same as before, I'm going to draw lines from the same four corners of our square into the center of our vanishing point. Well, I'm going to stop just short of the vanishing point because we don't want to have to accidentally erase our point. If you ever accidentally do this, if you were to lose your vanishing point and you have very little cues in your drawing of where that was, you can just follow along with, if you have two rulers handy, and just look at where they cross. So I can see that crosses right here, and that's right about where our point was. So if you ever accidentally erase your vanishing point, if you don't know where your drawing originated from, that's a very easy thing to solve. Just get two rulers, or draw it if you're lazy. All right. So right now we're looking at a top-down perspective of our room. This is your actual floor. Actually, that's going to give us a lot of room here. So you want to make that inside square very big relative to the outside. From the drawing I just did, on the west wall, I have my door. I had two windows on this wall, which are right about here and here. And the door was about maybe 4/5 the way down. No. Yeah, maybe 2/5 the way down this way. So the door is going to be here. We can just mark this up on the floor. So we got a door there. Oh, excuse me, we had three windows. Never mind. Forgot I added a third one. So we got one there, one there, one there. We got a bed here. And actually, wait. This is a very big room I drew. The Christmas tree here, bed right here, closet there. We could say we have a little table, maybe a bedside table right here. And now everything inside this smaller box does not I repeat, does not have to vanish to this yet, because we can actually have a floor plan here and then expand it out. And you'll see how that works in a second. So now, only these four walls on the outside are going to have any perspective to them. So starting with that door, I'm going to draw a line from our center point to where one corner of the door hit the floor. I'm going to pull that out. Like this. There's an old Zelda game that had views very similar to this. It was a top-down perspective, which is a pretty rare thing to see, actually. Here we have our little door. And now our windows, we're a bit off the ground. So this is the ground, and this is where the wall meets the ceiling. So we're sort of imagining that the ceiling just got taken off, and we're suspended like a spy in a movie going down. Draw my windows, and this time we're going to start from the vanishing point to where the window edge would hit the ground if the window extended to the floor. So from a top, if we didn't have these walls, we're looking at a perspective, they would be right about here. So this is going to be offset by a foot. So there's going to be this little difference right here. So we're going to make sure that our line goes through the point on the window where it would hit the floor and the actual point itself. We're just going to drag that up here. Do the same thing with the other corners of the windows. I find all the different ways of drawing perspective, this is one of the trickier ones, because it's very hard to pick an appropriate scale. Because almost we very rarely see the world from a top-down view unless you're in a helicopter. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Or an airplane. You're kind of looking more at like a downward angle than a direct above view. So if you put this sill back set away from the wall, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to draw a line here just to show that this wall has thickness. And this next part is very tricky, so try to pay attention to what I'm doing here. This would just be a single line, and this side is going to have two lines going away. Because we're looking down at an angle, or down straight, and this is at an angle relative to where our eyes are going, to this point. So we would only see this side shaded, this half of the window, and this would just be cut off. This would be one line. So make sure two, this is one. Here, this is going to be a very thin double line because we can kind of see it a little bit. This line we cannot see, and this one we can see. Made these windows a little bit cartoonishly big. And now the center bar of each window is going to follow the same pattern as the frame. It's going to go to the vanishing point, to the base of the frame, to the top of the frame. So that's 1, 2, 3. The first one, it's easy. Or the middle one, it's easy. This is just a straight line. And now I'm going to actually draw our bed more appropriately sized because it took up a lot of space when I drew it last time. So I'm going to erase that a little bit, make it smaller. So this is the top-down view of our bed, and we actually want this to come up because right now it's a very flat bed. the tatami mat bed. And I'm going to start drawing from the vanishing point from the corner up and pulling up. So you're going to have something that looks sort of like this. And it's going to look really weird for a second. But once you connect those two, you'll sort of see what's happening. The same thing with the windows. It's very skewed. Pull. And finish that. We got kind of a backboard here, and that's going to be sort of like a trapezoidal shape, like that. But I'm going to draw it using perspective rules rather than just eyeballing it. I didn't take a picture of the original drawing. I probably should have, but I have a photographic memory, so that is not necessary for me. You can erase these center lines that you would not be able to see otherwise. And I had the sheet kind of hanging off like this. I drew one pillow. That. Had a closet. Christmas tree. I'll just draw a line from the center of that going up, just so we know with the direction. And I'm just going to start drawing the closet. That's pretty simple. Same as the door. Cut it in half. And 2 dots. Now for the floorboards, I always do textures like the floor last. And again, these are not going to get smaller together, or closer together as we get closer to the vanishing point, because we are looking at top down, and this square is not in perspective. Only the walls are in perspective. A lot of people ask me if there's a trick to knowing when is the appropriate time to start using foreshortening, which is what happens when these lines get closer. Basically, if you're drawing inside of a non-rectangular shape, like this is more of a trapezoid, then you would get smaller. So you do far apart, close, close, close. Because these lines are not parallel. But the lines here, this one and this one are parallel, so that would mean no perspective. Erase these little guide points I made. And now if I want to make this more like slats, I can do this. I can do 1, 2, 3, and then in the middle of those, I can go up 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just to show this is wood. In my Venice drawing, I did a trick where I kind of only had texture in one spot, like this. And that's great if you're drawing like a broken thing, like a broken wall. But if you want to have an actual like modern looking building, you kind of have to draw every little tedious detail of a texture. Perspective drawings of anything with brick is a nightmare. So avoid that if you can. Probably the hardest thing to draw, period, would be the human body in deep space in 3D. Very, very difficult. I can't imagine anything harder than that, except maybe animating the human body in deep space in 3D. That would be just torture. Oops. Right. I might make the bed look a little bit softer by making this edge irregular. I'm going to give the headboard some thickness as well. So I drew it as having kind of a beveled edge. And I have those little squares. Now finally, the table you can just draw a little square. And then have the feet kind of go down like that. And there you go. And now for the tree, I'm going to erase kind of a big part here. I'm going to draw like this. Add some posters on the walls over here. I'm keeping in mind this vanishing point. Christmas lights. Some presents too. I don't know why cats love Christmas trees so much. I think it's all ornaments. And for a final finishing touch, make this look like The Sims by adding a bevel on the top of the wall. That's all there is to it. If anyone has any questions about the details of perspective drawing, I could answer them now, I guess. I haven't really asked much of that. Do we have any questions from the crowd? Zoom or otherwise? I think you're muted.
You know, I was talking, that's fine. Okay. Maybe you can see the classroom. Yeah. No questions, anybody? No? Okay. I think I'll have to talk to Joseph about it, but I think he might be available for some like tutoring office hours too on perspective. If you we'll talk about that. And so let me see. So I record that. I'm going to stop recording and then I'll start another recording with Minecraft.
Sure.